The automotive industry has promoted a single financial model for 40 years. A car begins losing value the moment it leaves the dealership. By the end of the first year, it has lost between 15 and 20% of the purchase price. By year 5, the average vehicle has surrendered more than half of what you paid for it. By year 10, it is worth a fraction of the original transaction. This depreciation curve is presented as a law of automotive economics. It is used to justify trading in every 3 years, to justify leasing, and to justify the foundational premise that a vehicle is not an asset, it is a cost. You absorb it, and then you absorb it again on the next one. That model is breaking down for a specific category of vehicle, and the numbers behind it are not projections. They are transaction data from the current market. A first-generation Toyota Tacoma in verified clean condition with documented service history and a rust-free frame, specifically the V6 variants built from 1995 to 2004, is currently transacting in private sales and at auction for between $12,000 and $22,000, depending on mileage and condition. The original manufacturer's suggested retail price for a comparable specification Tacoma in that generation ranged from $14,000 to $19,000. Adjusted for inflation, the average transaction price for a clean first-generation Tacoma today meets or exceeds what buyers paid for them new. A vehicle between 21 and 31 years old is selling at or above its inflation-adjusted original purchase price. That is not depreciation. That is appreciation. And it is happening at the same time the average 2022 pickup truck has lost between 30 and 40% of its value over 3 years of ownership. The 7.3-liter Power Stroke Ford F-250, built between 1994 and 2003, is following the same trajectory. Clean running examples with documented maintenance are transacting between $15,000 and $30,000. Fleet vehicles purchased new in the late 1990s for under $25,000 are selling today for figures that would have seemed implausible when those trucks were new. The diesel mechanic community has understood this for years. The broader used market is only now beginning to process it. The Toyota Land Cruiser 80 Series, built from 1990 to 1997, has already completed this transition entirely. Examples in genuine clean condition now sell for $25,000 to $50,000. The buyers paying those figures are not collectors, and they are not enthusiasts in the traditional sense. They are buyers who have run the total cost of ownership calculation against a comparable SUV and concluded that the Land Cruiser is the less expensive vehicle over a 10-year horizon. Not the more characterful one, not the more interesting one, the cheaper one. That is a different conversation than the one the automotive press has historically had about vehicles of this age. Understanding why this is happening requires looking at what drives value in any asset over time: supply, demand, replacement cost, and whether the asset continues to perform the function it was purchased to perform. On every one of those dimensions, pre-mandate mechanical vehicles are moving in the opposite direction from modern ones. Supply is fixed and declining. No new first-generation Tacomas are being manufactured. Every example that rusts beyond recovery, everyone removed from service permanently, reduces the total available pool. That pool can only ever shrink. The demand side is moving in the opposite direction. As awareness of the software lockout system, the subscription model, and the federal mandate arriving with 2026 model year vehicles reaches more buyers, the number of people actively seeking pre-mandate alternatives is increasing. Fixed and declining supply meeting growing demand produces one outcome. It has always produced one outcome. The replacement cost argument is the one that surprises most buyers when they work through the numbers honestly. A buyer who purchases a clean first-generation Tacoma for $16,000 today is not simply paying $16,000 for a truck. They are paying $16,000 to avoid purchasing a 2025 truck. The 2025 equivalent carries an average transaction price of $49,000 at current market figures. It comes with an average monthly payment of $775 over a 72-month loan. It begins losing value immediately and substantially. The $16,000 Tacoma requires no monthly payment, carries no software subscription, can be serviced by any mechanic in the country without manufacturer authorization, and in the current market environment is likely to hold or increase its value over the same period. The 2025 truck is losing a third of its purchase price. The total cost comparison over 6 years is not close. The modern truck costs more to acquire, more to finance, more to insure in most markets, more to repair under the software authorization structure that has been described in previous videos, and it returns less relative to purchase price at the point of resale. The pre-mandate truck comes out ahead on every line of that calculation. The automotive industry's depreciation model assumed buyers had no alternative. These vehicles are the alternative, and the buyers who have identified them as such are the ones currently sitting on the assets with the most remaining appreciation runway. There is one thing the industry's standard conversation consistently avoids addressing because the standard conversation exists to sell new vehicles. A vehicle that loses value reliably generates repeat purchase cycles every 3 to 5 years. The entire retail financing structure, the entire dealer service model, the entire manufacturer software revenue strategy, and all of it depends on the buyer returning to the lot. A vehicle that holds or increases in value disrupts that cycle. It keeps the buyer out of the showroom. It keeps the monthly payment out of the lender's ledger and in the owner's account. The industry's financial model requires the depreciation curve to continue in the direction it has always gone. For a specific and growing category of vehicle, the curve has stopped cooperating. The buyers who understood this earliest are the ones now holding the assets that have already appreciated. Clean examples of the platforms discussed on this channel were meaningfully less expensive 18 months ago than they are today. They will be more expensive 18 months from now for the same reasons they are more expensive today. The supply curve only moves in one direction, and the awareness curve is moving in the other. The next question for a buyer who has now identified the right vehicles, learned how to inspect them, and understood why the value case is stronger than the industry will acknowledge is a practical one. Where do you actually find clean examples before the rest of the market fully prices in what is happening? The specific sources, the specific search methods, and the specific signals that separate a verified clean example from one that has been prepared to look like one. That is the next video.